What up, guys? Welcome to Base Damage, and this week adding in a new entry to the Rogue Deck reviews. This was actually sent in a long while back. I just never got around to it, mostly because I'm not that familiar with Project Diva. But this one I'm going into completely blind. I got Heart of the Cards pulled up over here in case anything comes up in which I need to look up a card effect just to verify, or in case I see the card has a whole bunch of text but no effect written up here. It's whatever. It happens. Project Diva has been out for a bit, though, so I'm hoping that a lot of these up here are correct and fully completed. But this was sent in a long while back from Kojiros, and this was described to me as his pride and joy. So I hope that I can figure out your combos and whatnot in here as easily as you were able to figure them out and whatnot, dude. So, all right, let's get right into this. So, looking at this. First off, the entire deck is green. I love it. I just thought that was kind of cool. As far as like a neat little spread and whatnot. All them colors. I'm just being weird. Okay, for real, getting into this. Okay, so obviously Project Diva is all the different Vocaloids and whatnot. So the biggest one in here for that is Miku. So I've always liked listening to some Hatsune Miku back in the day, as far as like a whole bunch of different Vocaloid songs and whatnot, like original ones that people would create. And what was it? Supercell did a whole bunch of like songs based around some Hatsune Miku Vocaloid stuff. So getting right into it. Bear with me, and I'm gonna try to understand this deck as best I can. So getting right into it. First off, we have Hatsune Miku linkage. One of the things I remember from seeing some cards like Soundless Voice and whatnot is a whole bunch of the cards in here are based off the different songs that they have. So I'm guessing linkage is one of the songs. So for this level 0, we got 2 copies. It's a 2K. This ability activates up to 2 times per turn. When another of your music characters is placed on stage from your hand, this gets plus 1500 power until the end of the turn. Alright, so if you have this and then you play 2 other music characters, which this is like Love Live if I'm not mistaken. I want to say the entire deck is the music the entire set is the music trait. So this will be very interesting. Also, if I'm not mistaken, we are confirmed getting another Project Diva set at some point. So that'll be interesting to try to look over. So at most this can get plus 3000 power and can become a 5k at level 0. That's actually kind of cool because I don't know even with like some buffs, you see some like oversized 4k beat sticks at level 0, but for the most part you don't see too much get that big. Alright, so 2 of that. Alright, so next is Hatsune Miku Pireta? I believe that's how that's pronounced. 3 copies of it, 2500 power. If the number of your other music characters you have is 2 or more, this gets plus 1000 power. So can buff herself up to a 35, and more than likely, like say one of them's a back row assist, optimal thing here. So can easily potentially get bigger than 35. So you got a lot of beat sticks at level 0 so far. Speaking of back rows, 39 get exclamation point Hatsune Miku. All of your other characters with Miku in its card name get plus 500 power, so global 500, that's nice. An act ability, rest this card, choose one of your characters with Miku in its card name, and that character gets plus 500 power until the end of the turn. So going right back into the beat stick stuff. The Miku stuff, it looks like it's all about the beefage and getting bigger. Just like them thighs, I'm just kidding. No. Then we have Nice to Meet You, Hatsune Miku, which just seems to be vanilla. So vanilla 3k, perfectly fine. Not against any decks that have to run vanillas at level 0. It's all good. Hell, I've seen some decks have to run vanillas at like level 1 because they get big off of like bonds and whatnot. Hell, that's one of the things that was mentioned in the last Rogue Deck review with Madoka Magica, one of the combos with that. So that was kind of cool. Nothing wrong with vanillas. So then we have Hatsune Miku Magician. Looking fabulous there, girl. So this is a 2k. This ability activates up to 1 time per turn. When you use an act, aka stuff like this, choose one of your characters. That character gets plus 500 power until end of turn. So that's a separate act all its own. So this is giving a global 5 already. Tap it to give something else 500. And then with this effect, give an additional 500. The cool thing also with these types of effects is this triggers up off of backups. So if you have backups, even like a free 1500 backup turns into a free 2K. It was really cool. Then a brainstorm, always good. 1 stock, rest 2 of your characters. Reveal 4 cards. Waiting room. For each climax, search your deck for up to 1 music character, reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand. So the searching brainstormers, 3 copies of that, very good. I actually really like that card. Hatsune Miku School, so just kind of high school uniform type thing. When this card is placed on stage from your hand, 2 copies of this, by the way. You may pay the cost, pay 1, pitch 1. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 music character, show it to your opponent, add it to your hand. So drop searcher. Always a good staple to have. Like, I know you see a whole bunch of drop searchers over the course of a whole bunch of different sets. Taiakia Memories, Yami being one of them. So that was one of the bigger ones, quote unquote. Of course, some people prefer, instead of the pitch for the effect, what was it, Mirai, I believe, from Idolmaster, is pay 1, deal yourself a damage, and then search for a character, level 1 or lower music character. Granted, that specifically sets up for Nita Minami, so that's understandable too. But so 2 copies of the Drop Searcher, always good. No real changes, I would say, to make at this point with the level 0s, mostly because you got the beat sticks, you got the main stuff that you need: beat sticks, brainstormers, and buffers. So Drop Searchers included is always good. But always having, you want to make certain you have some kind of mill or brainstorm. So that's really cool. Now, the only disadvantage also, I say disadvantage, but the one thing about this, where it says you had to tap 2 characters, it would have been so much better if all you had to do was just tap itself. Because that means if you want to try to go with just tapping your back row, if you tap this for its buff effect, you can't use the back row for it, or you have to tap another character, or summon another character over top of it. Or if you use this for its brainstorm cost, you can't tap it to give a buff. So you kind of do what you need when you need to at that, but I doubt that's ever going to really be a problem. So that is 5, 9, 11, 14, looks like 16 level 0s. Level 1, getting into this, we only have 8 level 1s, so this is going to be kind of interesting. Unless there's like some early play ones or something, I don't know. Hatsune Miku Rainbow Lines. That just sounds like a drug. It's a level 1/0, cost 5k. When this card attacks, if a card named Glory 3S 9? Glorious 9? Oh, it's like the 39, but with like Glorious in it or something of that nature. Anyway, the climax for that is which one? These 2. So it's just 2 different climaxes, but it's arts. So he's got 1 copy of, like, I'm guessing it's SR or something of that nature, which is a green stock from Waiting Room, and all your characters get a soul. So that's cool. So extra stock, can't go wrong there. Let's see. So when this attacks, if that climax is in play, choose one of your other cards named Hatsune Miku Puffy Pastels, and that card gets the following ability until end of turn. When this card's battle opponent becomes reverse, search your deck for up to 2 music characters, reveal them, put into your opponent, put them to your hand, choose a card in your hand, put it into your Waiting Room. Now, Puffy Pastels is this one. Okay. So this is another Rainbow Lines. It's 4 copies of Rainbow Lines, 4 copies of this. Which this also combos off of the same thing, the Glorious 3/9. Glory 3S9 is in your climax area. When this attacks, if you have another card named the Rainbow Lines, I keep wanting to say Panty Lines for some reason, you may pay the cost, which is 1 stock. If you do, this card gets plus 4,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. Okay, actually, that gets huge. First off, I didn't state this to begin with. It's a 1/1/6/5, which that's very useful because of this having to give the on reverse ability. Okay, so 1 copy of each on the field. This is just me doing my math in my head. You play the climax, you get an extra stock. That stock can immediately be used for this, but you're going to want to attack with this one first. So you're going to want to attack with this one first, do its damage, do whatever, but you use this to give this the ability of the on reverse search. The paying one stock is optional, but more than likely, depending on what your opponent has, or if you feel the need to wall up, you can pay that one, give a 4K, and you're guaranteed to get like a reverse at level 1, because then she's a 10-5 before anything else, before that global 500 level 0. Assume that you have that, and that means she's an 11K for your opponent's turn. That's just as big, if not, I believe, a 500 or 1,000 bigger than Soundless Voice. Admittedly, Soundless Voice does it for free, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember there being too terribly much stock cost. But this gets much bigger for the opportunity to, off of this, go, okay, reverse or like reverse search for 2 cards and then discard 1 card. So you get some like Zekken Yuki-esque searching off of that, which is very interesting. Like, I mean, essentially with Zekken Yuki is on attack, pay 1, pitch 1, search for 2. You can pay 1 on the attack to give a bigger buff, and it would get bigger than Zekken Yuki can get with a whole bunch of other buffs. Her biggest buff that Zekken Yuki could give herself is plus 25, making her a 65, and then the 1K1, making her a 75. So by herself, she is bigger than Zekken Yuki will ever be by herself. Granted, you have to have this for it and the Climax combo, but this is assuming you have the Climax combo, not having too terribly much other big buffs. Like, obviously for Zekken Yuki, you're going to have stuff like Asuna's Married Life, which is going to give extra buff too. I realize I'm trying to compare this to SAO now, but at the same time, once again, this is stuff I'm not familiar with. This is stuff I've never seen before. And to be able to see this type of stuff and go, oh, shite, older sets having stuff like this is really cool for me to see. The interesting thing of this being only 8 level 1s, and this being able to pull that off, and if you can honestly just have like 1 copy of each, you're golden for your combos. If you end up not pulling this off till like level 2, you still don't care because of how big this thing gets that can kill level 2s and some level 3s. So that's whatever. That's actually pretty cool. So once again, on the on that for the level 1 lineup is very interesting for that. So next we have 3 copies. We're getting into level 2s. So I'm just going to go ahead and say this ahead of time. 4, 8, 11 level 2s. First off is Full Power Miku. Full Power Miku Miku Hatsune Miku. It's like Nico who's sitting there going, Nico, Nico, ni. Just to drop one drop 3K back up. But once again, considering how swole she gets, 10-5 off of her own ability alone, and it keeps that buff even if this somehow leaves the field. It means you could make her a 13-5 defensively. Holy fuck, that is cool. Sorry, I'm just realizing like how big you get. Like, this is assuming you're at level 2 by the time this happens. If you have the Brainstormer in the back row, you can essentially give an additional 500, so it's like a 35. That's cool. Hatsune Miku, hello, good night. It's like hello, goodbye. Anyway. So this is just a 228K with the simple effect of character encore. But at the same time, I don't mind that because, it has 2 soul. So being able to just have something that big and just be able to poke for that much soul early on is still really good. Hatsune Miku V3 is a level assist, it seems. And then an auto, pay 1, put a climax from your hand into your waiting room. When this is placed on stage from your hand, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose a climax in your waiting room, return it to your hand. It's like the new Xenon from Re-Edit. So if you have 1 climax but you need the other, and the other's in your waiting room, you get a little extra stock, you're good. So, as well as being a nice little buff in front. So 2 copies of that. That's really cool. Lastly is 4 copies of Hatsune Miku Orbit. Not the gum. This card gets plus 500 power for each of your music characters. So, minimum, full field makes her a 9K. Assuming you have other buffs in the back row, she could probably be at a 10K easy. And that's if you don't have like the level assist as well. When this card attacks, if a card named the Spica 39's Giving Day Edition is in your climax area. Choose up to one of your music characters in your waiting room. Put it into your stock. Choose one of your music characters, and that character gets plus 25 power until the end of the turn. So first off, that's this one, which is a draw 2k and a soul. Okay, so that's understandable. That's still really cool. Like, actually, I think I'm interested in how it would be if it was like another green stock in waiting room from waiting room and plus another soul. Just because of how much extra stock you'd be getting off of that would be freaking bananas, man. But no, like the draw 2k and a soul off of that's still really cool because how much more buff you're getting. And considering if you're also playing two soul characters anyway at level 2, you don't mind, you know, the draw 2k and a soul only giving a plus 1 soul to one character if you have copies of this on the field. If not, you still don't mind because you're looking to kill stuff at this point. And then get extra stock on top of it to be able to play your level 3s is really cool. I really like the artwork for this level 3 as well. So only 4 level 3s. We also have some events, but I'll have to get to that in a second here. Resonating Diva, Hatsune Miku. If the number of climax cards in your waiting room is 6 or more, this card gets -1 level in your hand. So early play level 3s are always cool. If the number of your other music characters is 3 or more, this gets 1,000. When placed in your hand, draw 2 cards, choose 2 cards in your hand, put them into your waiting room, and put up to 1 card from the top of your deck into your stock. That actually puts some perspective on something, because the last time I saw this effect on something, like the third effect, the draw 2, pitch 2, get a stock, was on the level 3 Star and Party tie from the recent Bang Dream. I say recent, but it's the most recent thing that I've seen that has this type of effect. But this is an effect that's been around for a while, apparently, because I want to say this has been... This is from an earlier set of Project Diva. So it's just that type of draw effect, and then you end up getting back 1 stock, so it's as if you played a level 3 for only 1 stock. And if you can do that early on, that's really cool. So she can be like an 11k early play, some hand filtering too. Ain't no problem with that. I really like that. That's really cool. Granted, you don't really need a lot of level 3s because of how big your other characters on the field get. So you're at level 1, you're essentially summoning characters that are like the size of level 3s anyway if you're doing their full effects, and then getting extra stock back later on. That's really cool. Yeah. So then. Actually, that's all the same card. I thought it was 2 different cards there. So it's 4 copies of the same early play Miku. So it's still Resonating Diva Hatsune Miku. Just got 2 SPs in there, bro. I like the SPs because that actually was really cool. I could not tell that was the same card until I pulled it up. I was like, oh, it's a completely different card. No, it's the same. That's cool. So 4 copies of that. That's nice. Then we get into the event, which is I'll Miku Miku You for reals. They come up with some interesting names for this stuff, I swear. So 1/1 event green. The entire deck's green. You're straight for this. Choose one of your characters with Miku in its card name. That's the entire deck. And until the end of... I remember this. I remember Corey from... not Corey in the house. Corey from our locals played this before, and I thought this was so cool. Choose a Miku. That character gets 39 power. Yes, 3,939 power. It's such a weird number. You're like, the fuck? When this card's battle, and it gets that much power and the ability that when the battle opponent becomes reversed, search your deck for up to 1 character with Miku in its card name. Reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. That's actually really cool. For one, this gives you essentially as for like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of words. Where a lot of decks like Kantai has Shimakaze, which is an on reverse search. Mikan from Two of Ru has an on reverse search, and a lot of those on reverse search effects. This event lets you essentially have that at any point of the game. Couple this with also you don't have to discard afterwards. Couple this with stuff like your climax combo at level 1 to be able to search for 2 cards. Turns into potentially only paying, especially if you don't have to pay the extra stock for this effect. Like if your opponent has level 0s, since both of these would be on reverse effects, you can go some of this, some of that. Pay 1, give it this effect, or give this one the effect if you want to. But if you wanted to, you could put it all on 1 character to essentially get 3 searches off in one, or search for 3 cards in one turn. One of which you have to discard off of, but you could use the search from the event to grab like a level 0 you don't need, and then search with the other effect for 2, and then pitch that level 0 you didn't need. Or whatever, however you want to do it. But that event lets you do stuff at any point in the game for as on reverse search effects, with a nice buff to it too for only 1. That's actually really cool. I'm sorry, that little face there on the one, that's just funny as fuck to me. So for something like this that just gets really, really big for, only like 1 drop, like I'm just thinking of doing math here as far as 1 drop can become a 9k off of its own ability if you use the effect with the Climax combo. The Climax also being able to do a draw 2k and a soul could make this an 11, could make this a 13-5 off of effects alone, just being as big as a 13-5 before any other back row buffs like level assist or the global 5 or whatever, and then do this to give it plus 39. She gonna get big. Like, that alone is gonna put her at almost 17,000 off of only spending like 2 stock, for summoning her and playing the Climax. Getting yourself an extra stock in the process. So that's actually really cool to be able to do that. Like, her effect would essentially let you pay that event for free to a degree, and then still do what I consider a nice bit of compression off of all the search combos in this deck, and brainstormers, drop searchers, and stuff like that, doing a pretty decent bit of compression. And I'm surprised stuff like this actually doesn't show up more. Admittedly, it is, I will say, as cool as I like the Climax combos, I would so prefer if these didn't have double crit triggers. I've just come to not like the double crit triggers as much, but that's a personal thing. As far as the effects, if the Climax combos can mitigate the fact of having these 2 crit triggers, if the effect is strong enough on them that it can mitigate that completely, by all means, go for it. And getting stuff like characters that big and search effects that are that strong, almost as strong, I say, because Zekinuki is by far better, sure, but it's similar to Zekinuki in so many ways. It's like, oh, cool, because the end result is not that far off, to be completely honest. And that's if you even decide to pay the stock for it to get the buff. So even if you decided not to pay the stock off of this, if your opponent just has level 0s, you could save that stock instead for the event and get an extra search and be big, just as big, almost, and whatnot. And if you want to be bigger, you're cool. It's all good. That's really cool. I actually really like this deck, Kojiros, and like I said, it took me a second to realize that was the exact same card right there. But at the same time, it's really cool how much stock this deck produces, how much search and compression this deck does as well. And I'm kind of surprised that stuff like this doesn't show up more often. This is one of those, this is definitely up there when in the pure definition of rogue, because admittedly I've not been in the game as long as some people, and maybe decks like this were more prominent back in the day, quote unquote. But as of right now, this is something you do not see as much, and I would really like to be able to see more of these type of decks. I'm not as familiar with Project Diva, other than a little bit of Soundless Voice knowledge. Other than that, bro, this definitely gets the Kool-Aid seal of approval, and I can't wait to check out the other ones you sent in to me, because I want to look through those like right now. So, but thank y'all very much for watching. I know this was a little bit more long-winded than usual, and took a little bit extra more time. But at the same time, I hope y'all enjoyed it as well. This was really cool to look over, and Miku be fabulous, yo. That is it for me this week. If you want to, please subscribe. If you don't, it's all cool. Thank you for stopping by to watch the video nonetheless. And we'll see y'all on the flip side. Peace out for now.